like to call to order the Finance Committee meeting for May 5th, 2015. And start now, we will have a proclamation presented to us by Mayor Coburn.
Oh, there's no one.
Well, you're taking a windy road. We need to get you a unicycle.
Doug, this will be your last opportunity to help with proclamations.
Stop all the way down.
Yeah, we're not doing them this long.
Thank you very much.
You would be an example of what? Oh, the comfort bike. Yeah. Your husband this morning just said, man, she's like addicted to bicycling. I think that's a good thing. We have a proclamation today for bicycling. And let me read this if I can get through it without having to stop and take a relaxation period. Whereas the bicycle is a healthy, convenient, economical, and environmentally friendly form of transportation and an excellent form of recreation and inner-city travel. And whereas the Muskogee Trail System attracts a growing number of bicyclists each year, providing significant opportunity for transportation, recreation, and tourism while enjoying Muskogee's scenic beauty. And whereas creating a bicycle-friendly community has shown to improve citizens' health, well-being, and quality of life while retaining and attracting businesses, families, and young professionals by fostering an environment that invites the support and supports bicycle riders of all ages and abilities. And whereas throughout the month of May, the residents of Muskogee and its visitors will experience the joy of bicycling through group rides, educational events, biking to school and work, and or by simply getting out for a ride. And whereas the Muskogee area cycling, the Muskogee County Health Department, Muskogee Parks and Recreation, area schools, businesses, and League of American Bicyclists will be promoting bicycling during the month of May 2015. And whereas these also are promoting greater public awareness of bicycle operation and safety in the effort to reduce accidents, congestion, pollution, wear and tear on the streets, and improve health and safety for everyone on the road. Now, therefore, I, John Robert Coburn, Mayor of the City of Muskogee, urge all residents to join me in the special observance and do by proclaim May 2015 as Bike Month in Muskogee. And just by way of information, Flower Power Bike Ride week before last sported 400 people riding bicycles in Muskogee. This past weekend, the Jefferson Highway, the number I understand was 40-ish. Is that true? 32. So bicycles are out on the trails, and the thing that's cool is if you are a Facebook person on Facebook, Muskogee Area Cycling, MAC. I thought last night we were talking about computers. I didn't realize we were talking about MAC, the Muskogee Area Cycling. But there are posts practically on a daily basis on their Facebook page. So if you're interested in riding, if you're interested in encourage your kids, your grandkids, whatever to ride, they are out there, and it appears to be an extremely friendly group, because when you see somebody post something, somebody else will jump on and say, well, hey, I'll meet you there at 6 o'clock, or there's already 10 people that's going to be meeting at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever. So there's just a tremendous amount of interest going on right now in bicycling. And thank you to Doug. He's been working on Complete Streets and that whole concept of getting bicycle friendly as a community. And to Vicki Herring-Shaw, who is diligently demonstrating for us today an example of bicycling and is an enthusiast, and or maybe even worse, according to her husband, that she's kind of gone off the edge with it. Doug?
Thank you, Mayor. If I may, quickly, I really do appreciate you taking time to do this and reading such a lengthy proclamation for us. What I would like to do at this time, if it's possible, is to present this proclamation to Muskogee Area Cycling. We have some other members in the audience. If I could maybe ask them to come up with us and take a picture and hand it over to them and all the great work they've done. Any of you out there are active with Muskogee Area Cycling, please come on up. Appreciate it. You could hand it off to them. We're going to have, how about Vicki and y'all, to them, to the two of them, and I'll stand off to this side, just like that. Yep.
That's right.
And we've got a photographer out there in the distance. Thank you. 4, 5, 6. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, we're ready for item number 1.
Consider approval of the Finance Committee minutes of April 21st, 2015.
Any additions, corrections?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion in place. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item number 2, please.
Consider approval of claims list for all city departments, April 16th, 2015 through April 29th, 2015.
Do we have a report from the purchasing committee?
Yes, sir. We, purchasing committee met earlier today and reviewed the claims list, and I move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
All right, item number 3.
Receive report from the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame, Jim Blair, Executive Director, and take any necessary action.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Mr. Blair will not be present for give his report this evening. He is actually in Nashville, Tennessee, dealing with the festival. What I'd like to do is I'd like for us to have him provide a written update and then provide it to the committee. Maybe he can come back and present it formally to you. And like always, we'll just take no action and then bring this up in the budget process. So I don't see them requesting an increase in their level of funding now. So that's what I would recommend that we do, take no action on it and provide a written update.
Got the consensus?
Yes.
All right. We'll move on to item number 4.
Consider approval to purchase from the state contract 2 half-ton extended cab four-wheel drive pickup trucks for pollution control at a price of $25,193 per vehicle from John Vance Motors, or take other necessary action.
All right, Mr. Swepton?
Good evening. The city went out for bids on several vehicles. We broke these up into 2 agenda items for you. The first one here is the 2 half-ton extended cab pickups, and 10 bids were received, including the state contract bids. Of those, state contract bid, John Vance Motors was the cheapest and best at $25,193. Staff recommends purchasing the lowest and best bid of state contract at $25,193. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
In the Finance Committee, we had some concerns that we didn't have any local bids received. We'd make a recommendation that we reject all bids at this time, and we resolicit bids to make sure that bid packets are received by local vendors. So I would make that motion right now that we reject all bids at this time and resolicit bids and do it at the least amount possible by law as far as time period, so we don't delay the purchase of these vehicles to delay the services of the city, but to make sure and I'll call any of the local vendors to make sure they receive bid packets.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Is that a precedent that we've set?
No.
We've not done this before.
No, when I called today, a local dealership, and they did not receive a bid packet
How are the bid packets going out?
through mail.
Okay. I guess I'm
It's
concerned
also advertised in the newspaper,
Okay.
but I feel like it's to our best interest to make sure that we've got local vendors that are at least bidding on it.
What I want to know is why aren't they getting it?
We've kind of covered that upstairs and stuff, and then we're going to rehash that process and
Okay.
look at it and stuff.
Okay.
Or downstairs, I'm sorry.
Any additional questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item passes. Item number 5, please.
Consider approval of lowest and best bid from Bob Moore Ford in the amount of $22,493 per vehicle for the purchase of 4 one-ton regular cab and chassis pickup trucks for the street and traffic departments, and the lowest and best bid from Bill Knight Ford in the amount of $25,595 per vehicle for the purchase of 2 3/4-ton extended cab four-wheel drive pickup trucks for the pollution control department, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Swiftman?
This was part of the previous bid packet. We separated this item separately because they were included in the lowest bid in the packets and not state contract pricing. Of those, for the 4 one-ton regular cab and chassis, Bob Moore Ford was the lowest bid at $22,493 per vehicle, and Bill Knight Ford was the lowest on the 3/4-ton extended cab four-wheel drives at $25,595 per vehicle. These are budgeted in this year's capital outlay for each department, and staff recommends purchasing the lowest and best bid of each of these. Be happy to answer any questions.
Same thing was discussed in the Finance Committee with the same recommendation. I would so make the motion that we reject bids at this time, and we resolicit bids, and we make sure and contact local dealers to make sure they receive their bid packets, and we do it in the shortest amount of time to not delay the purchase of these vehicles, to not delay services to the departments with the city of Muskogee.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item pass. Going to item number 6, please.
Consider acceptance of low bid from John Weber in the amount of .0065 per square foot for mowing, 0.7 per square foot for spraying, $30 per cubic yard for trash and debris removal, and $22 opening for the boarding of structures through the City of Muskogee abatement program, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Garvin?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, the planning department went out for bids for our annual mowing contract. However, this contract was a little different than the contracts we've done in years past. This contract not only included mowing, it included spraying, trash and debris removal, and boarding up of structures. Since we had such a major revision in the contract, we thought it would be best to have a required pre-bid conference. We had 5 contractors show up. 3 of those contractors submitted bids. I put together a table here to kind of show you so you can actually compare dollar amounts on what was bid. The first column is the list of the contractors, the 5 who attended the pre-bid meeting and the 3 who bid. Second column is what it would cost to mow a 7,200 square foot property according to what they submitted. The third column is spraying, 7,200 square feet. The fourth column is 5 cubic yards of trash and debris removal. And the fifth column is boarding up 10 structures. The last column kind of gives you a total cost if we had them do all these projects to one side, what the total cost would be. As you can see, John Weber was the low bid, especially on the mowing at $46.80, with the next bid being $70. The majority of this contract will be mowing, but there will be these others included, and this is a one contract to do all of these. So we are recommending approval of John Weber, and Purchasing Committee also recommended approval. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I would like to, I don't need to talk about somebody when they're not here, but this is a good thing. Ivory Van had the idea of going for a grant to the foundation about boarding up structures, and I think this was a really good thing where we got funding for this. And so when we're boarding up some of these dilapidated housings that are actually a hazard around some of our schools, I'd like to thank Ivory Van for that idea.
Hopefully we'll get funded. We submitted the application to the foundation, so.
All right. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
All right, item passes, so we'll go to number 7.
Consider approval of best bid from Rumpend in the amount of $97,557 to replace the 2 high service pumps at the water treatment plant or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, I'm going to ask Stephen Morton, our acting water plant superintendent, to come up and present this item for you. George Kingston and myself are also available for questions.
Good afternoon. This bid was to replace, as it says, 2 water treatment pumps that we have at the facility. They're antiquated, they're obsolete, and they're very inefficient. This will replace those. These high service pumps are what we use to push water to town, so they're very critical to our operation. I understand there was a little bit of a discrepancy between the bid tab and what was actually bid. On the bid tab, that reflects a witnessed inspection. We chose not to go that route because Rural Pumping will give us a 1-year warranty on all parts and labor. They're going to handle this thing as far as pulling the pump out, putting the pump in, and make sure it's high potted and vibration tested. So we have the utmost confidence in their operation. While they were not the lowest bid did not meet spec. And I will be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
All right, item passes, so we'll go to number 8.
Consider approval of the lowest and best bid from Williams Contracting for the Cootie Creek Trail and Dog Park as recommended by staff and the Planning Design Group or take other necessary action.
All right, Mr. Wilkerson.
Chairman and committee members, on April the 17th, we opened bids for our Cootie Creek in the Trail and the Dog Park project. We had 5 bidders submitting bids. 4 of the 5 were very competitive, very close. Williams Contracting, which is a local bidder, did submit a local labor affidavit, which actually put him into the low bid category. That bid being $565,365.94. Since it's it's bike month, and we got some folks here, I hope everybody knows the project, but since they're here, I'll go ahead and re-explain it a little bit. It's an extension of Centennial Trail on the south side at approximately 10th Street. We will peel off of Centennial Trail at 10th Street, headed south to Cootie Creek. At that point, we will follow Cootie Creek, which is city property, to the east to Main Street. And at 2nd Street, actually, short of Main Street, at 2nd Street will be a trailhead with a parking facility. And at that location will be a dog park. It's a very nice setting, and it's going to be a very popular place for dog owners to come and have their dog run off leash at the park. The project is funded in part by a grant from the state of Oklahoma, Recreation Trail Grant, at $160,000. The balance of the trail portion of the grant will be funded by our CIP money designated for trails, and the dog park will be funded by the City of Muskogee Foundation. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Move
Any
for
questions?
approval.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
All right, item passes, so we'll go to number 9.
Consider approving a resolution declaring the parcel of property located on the corner of North D and Callahan Street as surplus property, and authorize the sale of the property to Sarah and Felipe Bravo in the amount of $363 or take other necessary action.
Mr. Tucker?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, we received an application from Sarah and Felipe Bravo to purchase a non-buildable parcel of property located in North D and Callahan. The property is approximately 5,900 square feet. It's classified C1 zoning. The Bravos do own property that is adjoining to this parcel, and as a result, because of that fact and because the parcel is not of buildable size, this does meet the criteria for a direct sale. They did deposit the amount of $363 with our office. And so I'm recommending approval to declare this property surplus to be directly sold to the Bravos. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Move for approval as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
All right, there was a final item for the Finance Committee, so we stand adjourned.
We will now call to order the Public Works Committee meeting. Item number 1, Pam.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of April 21st, 2015.
Additions or changes?
Move for approval. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Item number 2.
Hold a public hearing and take action on the approval of an ordinance rezoning the property located at 2910, 2930, and 3000 South Cherokee Street, more particularly described in the ordinance, from C1 Local Commercial to I1 Light Industrial, and if approved, authorize staff to revise the official zoning map of the city to reflect said change.
We are now on the public hearing. Mr. Garvin.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, the applicant, Thomas Fulton Jr., is requesting approval to rezone property from the C1 Local Commercial District to the I1 Light Industrial District. The property is located at 2910, 2930, and 3000 South Cherokee Street, basically 2 sites, 3 addresses. The reason for the rezoning is to allow an addition to an existing wrecker service. This wrecker service is currently operating under a non-conforming use. The reason being is 10 plus years ago, when the property was annexed in, the wrecker service was existing. Therefore, they can continue on to operate that wrecker service. However, they're wanting to expand that addition or that wrecker service, which does require them now to comply with the regulations, which is part of it is rezoning the property. Now, looking at the existing zoning land use within the area, starting with the site itself. Currently, both sites are zoned C1 Local Commercial, and both are being used as part of this wrecker service. North is zoned C1 Local Commercial, and north of site number 1 is an existing single-family dwelling. North of site 2 is a junkyard, salvage yard facility. South of the property is zoned C1 Local Commercial, and it's vacant property. Just south of the vacant property is an auto repair shop. To the east, which is to the rear of the property, is the railroad tracks, railroad corridor. And to the west, across Cherokee Street, there is an automobile repair shop and an auto sales shop, and then there's 3 single-family dwellings, 2 stick-built homes and 1 manufactured home. Now, if you look at the land use map, it does indicate industrial zoning within this area. Therefore, this request complies with the land use map and comprehensive plan. Now, rezoning the property is just the first step. Anytime a wrecker service to get authorized to operate within the city, you not only have to have the property rezoned, you have to also go to the Board of Adjustment and get a special exception. So once this zoning, or if this zoning is approved, there will be additional notices sent out to the property owners within 300 feet. It will be published in the paper again for a special exception. So that'll be the second part of this process. Both staff and Planning Commission has recommended approval of the rezoning. Be glad to answer any questions.
Seeing that no one has signed up to speak to this item, we're going to close the public hearing. Any questions for Mr. Garvin?
Mr. Garvin, were there no concerns from any of the residents?
Nobody contacted the Planning Department, and no one attended the Planning Commission meeting.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion?
Are there fencing requirements around these parking
Yes.
areas?
Yes. The actual addition that he is proposing is all going to be enclosed, but if it's not, he will have to comply with the fencing requirements.
Any other discussion?
Move the approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Item number 3.
Consider approval of the preliminary and final plat for Aldi Addition, consisting of 1 lot on 4.19 acres, located on the northwest corner of Shawnee Highway 62 and Reeves Street, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Garvin.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, the applicant, Call Valley Engineering, is requesting approval of a preliminary and final replat of Aldi Addition, consisting of 1 lot on 4.19 acres. The property is located on the northwest corner of Shawnee Avenue, which is Highway 62, and Reeves. It's on Shawnee between Reeves and Spruce. The reason for the replat is to allow the property to be developed commercially. They are proposing an Aldi grocery on the property. If you'll remember correctly, last month, City Council approved the rezoning for this same piece of property for Aldi. Probably a month prior to that, City Council approved a street closure for this same development. As far as public improvements are concerned, they are required to extend an 8-inch main down Reeve Street and install some additional fire hydrants to serve the property. Sewer and streets are existing. This item has been recommended for approval by the Subdivision Review Committee and Planning Commission. Be glad to answer any questions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Here. Oh,
Here.
yes.
Hearing
Eric
yes, huh?
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Item number 4.
Consider the approval and renewal of the lease with Davis Field Aviation LLC located at Davis Field Airport as fixed-based operator or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, at the airport, we have a lease agreement with our FBO out there. It's a 5-year lease with a 5-year renewal. His 5 years, original 5 years is up, and he has chosen, the FBO has chosen to exercise his option to renew for 5 more years. There's no actual changes to the contract. In the original document, it did set forth a graduation rate on his rental if he did exercise that, so that rate is already set. This item has been before the airport board. The airport board did unanimously approve it, and we recommend approval.
Move for approval as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
The motion carries. Item number 5.
Consider approval of an agreement for professional engineering services for Davis Field Airport with Garver Engineering, project number 14031010, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, I want to start by telling you that Garver Engineering was the airport engineer that was selected through a process that we have to go through about every 5 years at the airport to keep an engineering firm. So Garver was selected to do the 5-year CIP or ACIP, Airport Capital Improvement Program. So they have already been through a selection process to be the city's engineer for the airport, and that was several years back. When we did that, we also had to identify projects that were in that upcoming ACIP, Airport Capital Improvement Program. And one of them was the rehabilitation of runway 4 and 22, 4/22. That is a rehabilitation, which is some a replacement of some bad surface, and then a mill and an overlay on top of it, and that was the project. What you have before you today is the contract that solidifies that, now that we know that we're in that grant process and that we're eligible for it. OAC, FAA have both said that we're eligible and the funding is there. We need to submit the grant. We need to solidify the agreement with Garver, and that's what's before you. We did forward this to legal, and Roy and Matt have looked it over. It's a standard contract. It's for $99,850. The overall project that this is designed for and construction services for, the overall project is estimated to be about a $1.3 million project, so this is under 10%, which we feel is appropriate. We won't know that exactly until we know what the final bid price is. The scope of services, again, is to design the project to help us with the early project development package to put into the OAC and FAA, which they're already assisting us with, to update our DBE, our Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, to keep us on top of our NIPIAS, which is the National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems, and then they will assist us with the grant application, the construction services. It is a very appropriate contract. It has been reviewed, and we recommend approval.
So, Mike, this $99,000, that coming out of the airport funds?
It is a match with the OAC and the FAA, and it's a 90-10 issue, so 90% of the overall cost of design and construction will come from the FAA OAC side. 10% will come from us locally, and we do have that in our budget.
Okay, thanks.
Move for approval as presented. Another great project for Davis Airport Field.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 6.
Consider approval of the assignment of ground lease lots 21, 22, 23 in the north 10 feet of Lot 20, all in Block 2 of Hangar Park Edition of Davis Field Airport as shown in Exhibit A from International Sales Agency, LLC to Roughneck Supply, LLC, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, as you drive into Davis Field and you come up to that first gate, this is that first hangar there on the right. It's a privately owned hangar that's on ground lease space that's still owned by the airport. This was Danny Knott's lease, and he is, as you know, passed away. And the lease itself has a clause in it that can reassign it. It does require airport board approval. It has been through that process, and this is going to, I think, the Sun. And by the way, Gary Lynn would have been here today to present this, but he was feeling ill, and he asked me to make sure and step in for him, so
Okay.
I don't mind. But this is just a lease transfer. Again, it has been through the airport board. It was 100% approved at airport board level, and we recommend approval. And it's just simply a reassignment of a lease. No changes.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Item number 7.
Consider approval of change order number 3 to the construction contract with KBC Construction for the Muskogee wastewater lift station rehabilitation or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
Yeah, this change order is a little odd for us to present because this is actually a reduction in price. And by the way, change order number 1, as we finish that project, which we have finished the project, we had quite a bit of money left that was Oklahoma Water Resource Board funding. And what we did was, through that change order, which we brought before you, we bought a lot of pumps and extra parts to have on hand. We tried to spend it all. We couldn't quite get it. We left $600 in there. This change order is to reduce that amount so that the project can be finalized out. So this change order is for a reduction of $600,000 to lower the price from $1,768,875 to $1,768,016. And I hope I read that right because I didn't have my glasses on. So we recommend approval. And the next item, by the way, goes with this one. That is the final payment.
Excellent.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Item number 8.
Consider approval of final payment on construction contract with KBC Construction in the amount of $37,975.16 for the Muskogee wastewater lift station rehabilitation project or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
This project was to rehabilitate 14 existing lift stations, and Clay McAlpine and Jay Updike both wanted to be here today and couldn't. They were our engineers of design, and they wanted to do a PowerPoint to show you what we got for that $1,700,000. What they would ask was if I would ask to see if this could be forwarded to Monday night without recommendation so they could come do a presentation to show you the project's closed out and to show you what we got for the money. They also at that time, because this was part of the consent order, wanted to update you on the consent order. I asked them to keep that brief. They'll do a brief PowerPoint Monday night. So if you wouldn't mind, forward this to Monday night without recommendation, and I would like to do it that way if possible.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. Mike, how many lift, is this all the lift stations that we have, or is it?
No, this is the majority of them. Unfortunately, we didn't get lift station 8 and the one out by the river, which are actually causing us a lot of problems. But those are future lift stations that we have in our scope. We were going to consolidate them, the one on Beacon Street, the one that's there at the Kurtz Mall, and then the one that's on Highway 16 and Harris Road. We're going to put into one package and do that in the future, that phase 2 of the consent order that we're moving into.
Okay.
And I can ask Clay and Jay to actually speak to that specifically if you'd like. Because we do have them, 14 of the, in Georgia, is there 19 or 20? I can't keep up. There's 19 or 20 of them, but
Okay.
14 of them are in great shape. We still have several that need work, and that is in our future plans.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Have a
Good question.
thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
And motion carries. Item number 9.
Consider approval to sponsor the participants of AIM Safe and Secure Committee in National Night Out, and to further designate the mayor as the city's representative and point of contact, or take other necessary action.
Mayor Coburn.
This National Night Out, Ames Safe and Secure Group came and made the recommendation as part of the community policing effort, was to get police and city officials involved in the community in that policing effort and that presence in the community, and I think it's an excellent idea, and I would move for approval of this item.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 10.
Receive update on Council Policy 4-1, travel policy, or take other necessary action.
Kelly.
Good afternoon, Deputy Mayor, members of the committee. Back in the beginning of March, I had presented a revised travel policy to the City Council, and during that meeting, one of the council members had recommended coming up with a committee, which consisted of Council Member Langston, Council Member Reed, and myself, to reform the policy. In addition to that, the policy was to maintain status quo up until the revision, with the addition that some employees be extended the use of a vehicle outside of city limits. The Travel Policy Committee did meet. We had several ideas that were thrown around. I had discussions with the city manager. Our recommendation at this time from the committee would be to extend that committee to include 4 additional city employees to get more city input in regards to the travel policy. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do we need a motion on this item?
Yes.
Move for
Oh.
approval.
Move for approval to add 4 people to your committee?
Yes, sir.
Is that what we need?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to add 4 people to this committee. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the motion carries. Seeing that we have no citizens wishing to speak to this committee, is that correct, Pam?
That's correct.
We are adjourned.
We will now open the special call meeting in the Muskogee City Council. Roll call.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Here.
Dan Hall.
Here.
Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Janie Boydston. Here. Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Leanne Langston.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Derek Reed.
Here.
Item number 1.
Consider approval of a resolution declaring the parcels of properties on various sites within the original town site as surplus property, and pursuant to support resolution for low-income housing, authorize the donation of the property to Muskogee Arts District Homes, LP, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Garvin.
Mayor, members of the council, if you'll remember back last year, June 2014, Housing Plus attended the meeting and requested a resolution of financial support. They were proposing to build 30 single-family dwellings within the original town site on infill lots. They were also proposing up to 10 units within the Seavers Block building, which is located downtown. That resolution of support included the donation of several lots within the town site for this development. And Housing Plus is the name of the company. Muskogee Arts District is the name of the project. The resolution that is being asked to be approved today is the second phase of that, which will declare the property surplus and allow for the donation of the property. There was a map as part of your packet. That map was put together by Housing Plus. It showed all the property that they're building the houses on. I put together another map. What you see outlined in red are the properties that the city of Muskogee is donating to Housing Plus. The other properties is what Housing Plus bought from a private individual. I do recommend approval of the resolution. Be glad to answer any questions.
Gary, the lot that fronts on Elgin Avenue and whatever, 5th Street, there is a commitment to build a park on that, is that correct?
That is where the community building will be, where the splash pad, the park, and everything will be for Housing Plus project.
And they can't do anything other than use it for that purpose?
That's what that property
correct?
is set for, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So, but if I remember right, when we talked about this, the houses would be sold off after a period of time, correct?
15 years.
Okay. When those houses are sold off, who takes on responsibility for that project? I mean, for that splash pad and everything?
Housing Plus, or the company, a management company, will be responsible for that until at such time it's needed to somebody else. But right now, as far as I know, it'll be Housing Plus until
They deed it to the city to take care of it.
When it's worn out,
We
they
have to
deed it
accept
to
it.
us.
They just can't deed it to us.
Or they just let it sit there after a while.
This is
And-
just a small, oh, go ahead.
One more question. And I know we're not in the real estate business, but we're just going to give the property away?
That is correct. The resolution support that was approved included the donation of all these lots.
Okay.
One small item, I know we have, through the AIM project, we have named this district pretty much. I mean, it's not totally official, but it's become known as, accepted by the people who are down there now as the Depot District. I know when they started talking about this and naming the project, it was all up in the air. You know, I think we need to kind of be uniform. This is the Depot District, as has been approved, so.
Well, and with that being said, I've had several people call and ask about and I noticed that there's some lots up closer to Elgin and everything like that, I've had several people ask if we're going to develop this as a depot, art district, museum area, how's that going to affect that area if that's what we do? Putting the housing and everything in there like that?
Well, this will be new housing within a neighborhood that hasn't had a lot of development in many, many years. These will be going to home ownership after 15 years, or the possibility of going to home ownership. So it should not have a negative. I don't think it'll have a negative impact on.
It won't have a negative
Well,
impact. The houses
I
are
don't
going to
think
be.
it's a negative impact that I'm trying to say. I'm just thinking that we're not selling anything up towards Elgin, though, right, or giving it away. There'll still be room if they want to develop something through there.
Yeah, the only frontage on Elgin will be where the community building is. None of the other houses will front Elgin. They'll be set back off of it.
Because I'm not opposed to the housing. I just want to make sure that we leave enough room to develop that area in case that's what we want to do over there.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we give away land and go back and go, oh, we wish we wouldn't have done that. And I've seen that happen several times since I've been on city council, and then we got to go back and purchase that land, so.
Yes, and again, none of these houses will be abutting or fronting Elgin Avenue. They will be set back off of Elgin.
All right, I appreciate that.
I
move
live in
for
that area, and I
approval.
think this is a great addition, and I think we don't want to go backwards. We've already got to the point where we had made a commitment to donate these properties for this project, and so with this said, I move for approval.
Second. We
Already
he had a
did.
motion from Mr. Hall.
Okay, I was just trying to get it going.
I guess if we double the motion,
Double the motion.
we'd have to double second it, wouldn't we?
You thought I was against it, didn't you?
I just want to make sure it happens, man. I want to make sure it happens.
Further comments or discussion?
Yes, I do. That little piece of property on Elgin, I still wonder if we should keep that for future development for the Depot District, for some business, a restaurant, or somebody who might want to develop that.
Well, having a community building and the splash pad is, if they do not have that, this project will not move forward. That has to be part of their project. They
I'm
have
not-
to have that within a certain area. And
Well,
right
it's
now,
not-
they,
It looks like it's not even adjoining the property you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about.
yeah, it has to be within a half mile, I believe, of all their homes.
Is there another piece of property that we could probably give them to do that with?
We looked, and this was the area they decided. We looked at every piece of property that the city owned in order to make this project work, and I don't think it'll work without this piece of property.
I mean, we can ask council. We started this process last year with Housing Plus. Debbie Hart, I've had meetings with her Gary, we've met with her several times. Staff has been working on this project for quite some time. I brought in counselors from Ward 4 Ward 3. I got it, sorry.
All right.
From Ward 3 that definitely are interested in this project, as you can see. And, you know, they have requirements. When they do these type of projects, they have requirements where the open space area or the recreation area has to be in close proximity to the development site. And that's how they actually score these applications when they go and get their income tax credit application approved through Oklahoma City. So they need to probably have this. Going back now and changing the deal would probably hurt their application or even stop this development from occurring. So,
has anyone?
We can ask the question, but I'm 100% certain the way these LIHTC projects work, they have to present this and get their pro forma and get it approved kind of in advance.
In your conversations with Ms. Hart, has she been made aware of the concerns that some of the vendors have on Broadway?
No.
Yes, she is aware. Matter of fact, she attended some of the meetings, or a representative attended some of the meetings, so they are aware of the concerns on Broadway on the apartments.
Are they doing anything to address those concerns?
They're trying to do some work in the design of the apartments to make them a higher quality. They're doing some things, but there's not a lot that they can do by the way the tax program works and what they can and cannot do. But they're definitely aware of the issues.
But I mean, in terms of just reassuring those residents or those business owners, one way or another, that they won't be negatively impacted by this development.
I don't know how you'd be able to assure them they won't be.
I mean, that's just concerns that they're bringing up constantly. And I was wondering, had anybody directly approached them to say, this is not going to be bad, or here's what's going to happen, or...
They're aware of the concerns because we've definitely made them aware of that. These projects are tied together. In order to get the points, this had to be tied to it. If the community building or the apartments or any one leg is taken out, then the whole project goes away.
We weren't wanting to take it out. We were just kind of wanting to move it to a different area.
Yeah, and at this point, though, they've already got they did all their design work with the architect. They hired an HP expert to help them and assist them on the building itself. So, I mean, they've done a lot.
HP expert, Gary?
Yes, historic preservation. It used to be on the state board, I think, this person was that they hired to help them along with this, knowing there were some concerns.
I think next time we have a proposition like this, we need to be asking some of these questions ahead of time. I know a lot of these things just were brought to our attention and stuff after this occurred, you know, and at that point a year or so ago, we were looking for anything that would help our downtown area, you know. So I think we just need to move forward and just remember that we need to ask these questions up front next time.
I don't want to sound negative when I say this, but I want to make clear that we don't send the message when you say low income that there's always a reason to be concerned about that as a group of people. I think this is a great project, and I think it's a great enhancement for that area.
And I'm going to say the same thing with Councilman Reed. You know, we all can be low income and still have morals and values and want things in life. And I know when we first talked about this, we were talking about like downtown, about the people don't have sustainable income and all of that. You know, we're human beings. Everybody want to do better. And I think this is going to be a good project for the south side of Muskogee. I know that Mr. Councilman Reed has lived on this side of town for a long time. And I'm a councilman in this area, and he's a councilman in this area, so let's just move this thing forward and let's get through.
Well, I'm thrilled for the housing in this area. I think it's a really good deal, but I hate both projects are tied together. And anytime downtown and you have people with non-disposable income, that was my concern initially, and that's my concern now, that two projects are tied together. I think the housing is phenomenal and much needed in our community.
I know some people that live downtown, and matter of fact, I used to work with some of the nurses out to the hospital. The only reason they live downtown, they have to follow an income guideline. You can make, when you retire, a certain amount, but still, these people worked as RNs out to the hospital. They didn't want to maintain their home, so they moved downtown.
So there's some people downtown that's got disposable income. We get them a grocery store down there, we might even help them more. But they got disposable income. You know, we shouldn't get on TV and talk about them. I don't believe in that.
You
That's
got a
just
motion and a
my
second.
2
Do we
cents.
have additional comments? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
No.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. That concludes our agenda for the special call meeting. Thank you.